Hi, it's Lon Welsh at Your Castle Real Estate, and I want to talk to the first-time home buyers who are out in the market to give you some perspective about what's going on. You probably have noticed there's not a whole lot of homes to choose from, and there's a lot of multiple offer situations, which is probably driving you crazy. The reason for this is that lower income Americans were disproportionately impacted by the COVID layoffs. So a lot of the people who bought their first condo or townhome, and ordinarily right now they'd be trading up, one of the two people may have lost their job for a period of time, and either they don't have the money now that they need to make the trade up, or maybe they use some of the money just to survive during the downturn. There's also a segment of people who were not impacted by a job loss, but they're worried that their job could be this fall if we see a resurgence in cases, and they don't want to trade up right before we maybe see a double dip on the recession. These two consumer drivers on the low end have held a lot of people who would ordinarily be listing their home back from putting their condo, townhome, or very small home on the market, which is, if you're a first-time buyer, you're probably feeling the pinch. So I can illustrate that for you. If you take a look at the chart on the right-hand side here, this is just looking at the homes and condos and townhomes under $300,000 in the Denver market. The heavy blue line shows you the number of closings this year, and the dashed purple line shows you the number of closings last year. And you can see during COVID that we are missing 1,200 closings that we historically should have had by now. In the other price bands of the market, particularly on the high end, we've recovered. We're now selling more houses than you'd historically expect, gaining some of the lost ground. But that has not happened in the entry-level market for the reasons that we talked about. You can see that our sales traffic is just about to last year's level, but it hasn't quite caught up to it yet. So what things should you be thinking about as a first-time buyer? So you may feel like this is the worst time to buy. From a supply standpoint, it is close to being the worst time to buy, but honestly, most of the last 5 years have been just about as frustrating, so it's not like a really new situation there. But what is in your favor is that we do have the lowest interest rates in over 50 years, much better than they have been in the last 5 years. So while you might have to compete a little bit to get the house, you will have the pleasure of knowing that your monthly payment will be lower by quite a bit from what you would otherwise expect due to those very low interest rates. The other factor I want you to think about is that, historically speaking, during a year when we have a presidential election, the 6 to 8 weeks running up to the election have a dampening effect on our real estate market. And that's because you see political ads nonstop that are primarily negative. And if all you hear in the media all the time is the world's going to end unless you vote for me, you eventually start to believe it, and it bums you out, and then you don't want to buy a house. So the degree of competition at all price bands will probably slow down in the weeks, 6 to 8 weeks before the election. So don't give up, keep looking, and you'll probably get something, and you'll still have the interest rates on your side.